Oh yeah, baby, we're back with another episode of Robot Chaos Season 7. Let's get it started tonight. We got some amazing fights for you, and we just are very excited to hop right into it.
We had a great episode last week, had some big wins, and the overthrowing of the King Ocean Man, Loki getting it done and taking out the champ. But let's look at today's fight card. We've got some real great fights today. We're going to be kicking it off with Bung against Mammoth in a weird fight that was requested a lot for some reason. Topbot against Buzzkill. Krusty Grab against Kraken in a... I think those are water animals. Yeah, we'll go with that. Quantum making their debut against Rusty, the Reserve making their first step into the competition. Eldamina Gore against Mad Catter. Death by the Hit Rampage. And in the main event, two hard-hitting bots with Hive Smashin and Hypershock. Should be a good match, but with that said, let's look at this first match with Bung against Mammoth.
Yeah, so Bung coming into the season kind of seen as a joke robot. Its strength is its Bung, its weakness is its Bung. It's funny, and that's kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah, in the end, it's an interesting robot. It's here for fun. Really not going to expect a whole lot from it, but, they could always pick up a decent win here. I think if they can manage to pick up a few, then it'd be pretty good for them. And this will be an interesting matchup against Mammoth.
Yeah, obviously Bung not expecting to really do much this season, but neither really is Mammoth. I mean, only a 2-5 record overall. But it's a very unique design. Both of these robots, very unique designs. Mammoth, very interesting to see in the box. It can definitely give robots some trouble. It's in for a fight right here with my boy Bung.
Yeah, Mammoth looked really good in its first matchup against Huge. That lifter seemed pretty capable of getting flips, but also Huge was a pretty interesting design, and Bung is pretty different, so we'll have to see how these two robots fare in this match.
Let's see these two weirdos clash in the box.
And the fight is underway. Looking at both of these, we're seeing Mammoth not using its rotary lifter yet. It looks like Bung trying to go in from the back and get some good, What does Bung do?
It bungs. It's trying to get some good bungs. Mammoth now front on with Bung, still yet to fire up that lifter, kind of being, kind of hesitant with that weapon there, and the pit is open.
Yeah, you can see the start of the second camera now finally making its appearance this season. Good pit view, but still no real action from that spinner of Mammoth, which is going to be interesting. We'll have to see if it eventually starts working later in the match, but right now, no life from it. But
Mammoth using that tail to its advantage, really, just kind of, high centering Bung, pushing it up against the wall and that shelf over there. Interesting use of their hind little, I don't even know what you call it, tail?
Yeah, I think Mammoths have tails, I don't know. Tail. The tail is doing a pretty good job. I mean, if their weapon is down and they can't do much, then I guess that's what they have to do, but now Bung using its Bung to bung up Mammoth and getting some good rams into the side. Bung showing some good attacks and almost into the pit.
Push over by the pit.
Ooh.
Can we even fit Mammoth into that pit?
That's a good question. Maybe. But right now, Mammoth looking like it's having maybe a few troubles moving. Looks like one of those wheels might be a little bit locked up. And Bung looks like they're once again high side, and Mammoth doing a pretty decent job controlling the fight with that tail, even though they've lost their weapon.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we haven't seen that weapon from Mammoth, but good improv there from Mammoth. Just kind of being able to push around Bung, high center him. And even when Bung tries to lift Mammoth, it just seems like it's too much for the poor little flipper, poor little bunger.
Yeah, the thing about Bung is that they are up against the heaviest robot in the competition. Mammoth is about 200 grams. The next closest is Electric Boogaloo, surprisingly, with 150. But right now, they're really still trying to find a good moment. They have, I guess they've have some damage points because Mammoth lost a drive side, but I don't know what you can attribute to them. Looking back at the second camera angle, Bung, they still have full movement, but Mammoth really struggling right now, and I wonder, could we potentially see a count out if Mammoth can't move enough?
Yeah, Mammoth's just kind of crabbing around. I don't know if this is enough movement for them to sustain this fight.
Yeah, I think Bung is really just waiting, kind of taking their time, waiting to see what shots they can pick up for Mammoth, and that is a good pop, and it looks like they're trying to control them around as we are in the last 30-ish seconds of this match. Still very even between these two, but Bung probably finishing stronger than Mammoth is.
Yeah, both these robots just kind of swinging each other around. Bung not really able to flip much, but able to use that spike to kind of get in on that tail of Mammoth and pull him around. But here we are nearing the end of the fight. Mammoth, a good little push into the screws. Both of these robots trying to make a closing statement.
Yeah, but looks like it's going to end pretty unclear as who's going to be able to take this win. Both robots put on a pretty decent showing. It's definitely going to be interesting to see who the judges give this one to. It started better for Mammoth, though.
Yeah, definitely a close fight. Mammoth was, they never had that weapon the entire fight, so I don't know if you can count that as damage for Bung, but they were able to improv on the fly, use that little tail as a wedge, but then they kind of lost drive on one side, and then from there, Bung kind of started to take over, using that spike to kind of drag around Mammoth.
Yeah, really solid end of that match for Bung. They seem to have a pretty decent effectiveness with that Bung thing, but in the end, 5 points damage, 5 points aggression, 5 points for control. This is one of our first judges' decisions that actually went the full 3 minutes. Let's see how the judges settle this. It's going to be a close one. And and
there we go, a victory for Bung.
Yeah, I think that loss of that wheel was what tipped it in their favor. 4-1 damage is going to be what really seals them this win. Overall, Bung with their first victory, not a bad performance for them.
No, definitely.
Now getting into this next match. 2 0-1 robots here, but first looking over at Buzzkill. This is a brand new design. Of course, we've seen them have a lot of different iterations. We saw them before using a tombstone base, then going to a more angled one. This is a pretty interesting hybrid of a few different interesting concepts. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare in this match against a highly respected bot like TopBot.
Yeah, what I like about Buzzkill is they're constantly changing it up. They see what doesn't work, and I mean, eventually you have to think something will work for them, so maybe this is the design for them. But going up against a bot like TopBot, it's not an easy matchup for them. Two very similar robots with the angled spinner. TopBot, last year's number 2 overall seed, not looking the best to start this season. Looking for a rebound tonight against Buzzkill.
Definitely. They were outclassed by Loki, but in the end, if they want to rebound here, this is a pretty similar design to them. Both tombstone bases with these bigger motors. Going to be an interesting clash between these two bots. Going to see who can come out on top on this one.
Let's see how this plays out down the box.
Both robots poised, waiting for the moment for this fight to begin, and it kicks off.
And there we go. Both of these robots pretty quick, kind of spinning up, and already that little, I don't even know what that was, spinner guard on Buzzkill just seems to just get shot off. Some nice damage from TopBot early on.
Yeah, that was a very good start of the match here for TopBot, already getting some clear damage, and that is exactly what they wanted to do to start, but right now we're seeing very fast robots, these two, both looking for that angle. TopBot trying to go back to the top, but not able to do it. Buzzkill just squirreling around.
Yeah, and Buzzkill already slamming its back into TopBot, knowing that after they lost that little bit of weight on their weapon, they're at a disadvantage right now. TopBot seems to be a little bit more in control than Buzzkill. Buzzkill kind of just shooting around the arena. Definitely the faster robot, but a little bit less in control.
Yeah, they both had a few decent shots. Buzzkill got a decent one recently, but right now it seems to be pretty even match. But ooh, there's a pretty good ram there from TopBot.
Yeah, definitely a good ram over by the wall. And I mean, both of these robots need to win some control points as well. It can't just be all damage, and that's kind of what they're meant to do.
Yeah, these robots really aren't built to win control fights. They could definitely get aggression points, but in terms of control, one of them is going to have to be able to pull out this win. But right now, it looks like that pit is open, and TopBot needs to be careful.
TopBot is over that pit, and this is an opportunity for Buzzkill right now. They don't want to mess this up.
They have to get that shot. Can they line up? Oh, they get the shot, but it frees TopBot. A missed opportunity for Buzzkill to pick up its win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hesitation there from Buzzkill, and then just a bad shot. They should have just put it right in front of them, and they would have been right in the pit easily. They didn't even need to hit with their spinner.
Yeah, that was just not the right shot, not what they were looking for. But TopBot,
they're still going to get the win.
Still going to get the win. Terrible control there. It looks like at the end, both these robots are really squirrely this fight, and I guess it was just a matter of time until one of them eventually let their guard down, and that bot was TopBot.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these robots seem to be having control issues this fight. Some good pops with their spinners, but I don't think either of these robots are driving the way they really want to be driving yet. Some nice shots there, but I mean, it's more than just damage in this sport, and you really need to be able to control yourself in a fight if you want to win. I mean, TopBot let up too many easy opportunities there.
Definitely. But looking at TopBot now, they are 0-2. One more loss, and they are out of the competition. If you go 0-3, you're out. So they're going to have to really manage to figure out their issues and win that next fight if they want to stay in. But Buzzkill is 1-1.
Next up, we're going to have Krusty Grab entering the box, 1-0. They looked pretty good in their last fight.
They looked very good, managing to get a full suplex on Killer Crab with a absolutely beautiful shot. It'll be interesting to see if they can do more of that here, but it will be interesting to see. What do you think they have to do here in order to beat Kraken?
Well, I think against Kraken, they just really need to be the lower bot, and they need to stay on Kraken. Kraken has issues staying upright, but they just need to stay on Kraken and not get controlled around. They really need to be under them the whole time.
Yeah, of course, going to Kraken, they managed to get a victory in their last fight over Abomination. Very good start to their season. Still looking maybe for a little bit better use of that Clamper, and in the end, this is a pretty interesting matchup. Two very fast robots, two with pretty similar actuations. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, Kraken definitely needs to attack from the back and stay away from the front of that robot. They are not winning any ground clearance battles. Let's see which one of these robots can get that win they desperately need right now to lock up a spot in the tournament.
Yeah, and the fight begins. As we can see, already a decent flip there from Krusty Grab. That lifter has been on fire in their recent matches, and there's two of them to start, but Kraken, it's invertible. It can self-right pretty much any angle, so they're already back on it.
Ooh, wow, a nice little suplex there, just throwing Kraken backwards, and already Krusty Grab showing why those forks are just not going to be good for Kraken.
Yeah, already a great little tee up, and uh-oh, Kraken, that is not a good spot for them, and looks like they're being a little bit whirly, a little bit dazed and confused, and already pushed into the pit. Textbook performance there.
Krusty Grab leaving no doubts.
That was a perfect performance by Krusty Grab. From the onset, they managed to get those little scoops, those little lifts, even got a mini suplex in there. Amazing performance from this rookie bot. They look like an absolute force this season so far.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a clinic from Krusty Grab. They could have left Kraken teed up on their side, like right there. But just some good use of those forks. This bot is super low. I mean, it's going to be hard for any robot to beat this bot.
Definitely. This is one of the most impressive looking robots this season, and once again, they are a rookie at 2-0. They definitely deserve a main event at some point this season. Have to see what happens then. Great start for them.
Well, next into the box, we're going to have good old Rusty coming in at 0-1. You know, didn't look the best in their last fight, hoping to rebound here.
Yeah, of course, against Blip, they really just... The problem is this robot, it doesn't have a wedge. Why would you design a robot with a hammer that can't get under anything? I understand it's Rusty, but still. They could use a little bit of a ground game, especially against Quantum.
Yeah, going up against a bot like Quantum, I mean, they're just so deadly in the ground game. It's going to be really hard for Rusty to, you know, get under them and just get those hammer shots they need. And I mean, Quantum, this is their first fight though, so yeah. Rusty may have an advantage here with a little bit more experience in the box.
Definitely. Quantum is one of the most advanced robots in this field. This is the first dedicated crusher in Robot Chaos. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare. Of course, they were the reserve. They were not meant to be here, but they're ready to hopefully make their mark and even make a run at this tournament despite their late start. Let's get down to the box, see who wins this match. Both of them poised and waiting for their opportunity, and it starts.
Here they come, Rusty trying to get a shot early, and already Quantum looks like it's running around the box pretty decent.
That is a very fast start there for Quantum. Great speed from that robot. Of course, they have quite the... They have that crusher at the front, but we'll have to see if they can manage to get that good bite. So far, Rusty not getting under, but they are getting some hammer shots.
Yeah, and that's not where you want to be if you're Rusty. You don't want to let Quantum near those sides and that back of you because, I mean, that crusher is pretty powerful.
Yeah, they can definitely get in some of those little softer bits. If they can get a hold maybe of Rusty's treads, then that would be a big deciding factor. But right now, Rusty controlling it pretty well, not letting that crusher get any bites. And in the end, they're landing some good hammer shots, which will help them. Ooh, flipped a little bit. Right back up, though.
Rusty with a smart strategy right now. If they engage with the front, there's no way Quantum can really bite onto that. They're just too tall. So definitely some good moves, but it looks like Quantum might have a bite on that
Quantum might have the bite, but now they're pushed back over the pit, and it looks like they might go in the pit, or Rusty's going to
It's going to be a double KO.
That is a interesting end of that fight. So we're going to a double KO. This is a pretty tough one to decide. I mean, Rusty, they got some good hammer shots, which definitely can help them. Quantum was the lower robot. This is going to be a tough one to decide.
Yeah, definitely a tough fight. I mean, Rusty was aggressive. They had a good strategy of just not giving Quantum an edge to really get under. Good job by Quantum in the end there to kind of hold on to Rusty and force that double KO. But definitely an interesting decision for the judges to make. I don't really know how to decide this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a real tough one between these two. Of course, that was the first bite, and in the end, they were able to have a pretty good hold, but in the end, it just didn't work out for them, and they were outpushed, and then they went in, but also Rusty went with them, which leads to a double KO. But let's see what this decision holds, and it's a close fight.
It's a close one.
Rusty barely edging it out. That's going to be that's a really close one. Good performance by both, but in the end, Rusty going to pick up that victory.
All right, next into the box, we're going to have Death by the Hit, the Penguin Robotics robot. Looking pretty solid this season with that 1-0 start. Definitely a pretty powerful weapon.
It didn't have the most convincing win in its first fight. I mean, in the end, Ramplan, they kind of just died. We don't know if that was from Death by the Hit doing something or if it was just freak accident, but in the end, they're 1-0. But they definitely have a tough matchup here because Rampage, they looked very dominant in their last fight, and it's going to be interesting to see how Death by the Hit handles it.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these robots have pretty powerful weapons if they can engage, and I mean, Rampage in their last fight looked like a whole different robot from what I've seen in the past. I mean, they were just, they owned that fight.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, Breaker Box really wasn't able to do a whole lot, went to that double KO, but in the end, they were able to easily win that decision. Of course, last season, Spirit of Taiwan, from the same team as Death by the Hit, they were KO'd by Rampage, so this will be an interesting vengeance battle between these two. This little rivalry between these two. Let's go down to the box. And the fight kicks
The fight is off, and already both robots showing, I mean, Death by the Hit showing they can get under Rampage, which might be bad for them,
Yeah,
because if Death by the Hit can engage that weapon, it's very powerful.
Yeah, Death by the Hit's weapon, we've said before, it's pretty high up, but in the end, if it gets a bite, it's a pretty solid weapon, one of the most solid in this competition, but as we can see right now, Rampage starting to get the low ground, that big front wedge, able to get a
nice
good
push there.
Rammed up by the shelf, and another one right by that back wall.
Yeah, this is what Rampage has been doing best so far, just kind of, you know, slamming their opponent into the wall and then forcing them into that spinner, just doing some big damage there. Nice little pin over there by the shelf.
Yeah, and as you can see, ooh, a little bit of plastic being shredded. That front scoop of Death by the Hit being affected by that little spinner. You can see it chipped at the front. That is not what you want to see if you're Death by the Hit. If you're Rampage, that is exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and now that pit is slightly open. Both of these robots need to be careful to avoid any driving mistakes. Nice job by Rampage. Just getting under Death by the Hit, slamming him into the wall. That's like the third or fourth time now.
They've done a very solid job here at using that wedge effectively. It's kind of like that wedge is a priority, but because of that spinner...
And a huge hit on the side, knocking off that side guard.
That is some textbook damage. That is big for them. They've really been the only robot in this fight that's really done much. They've had damage on that front scoop, damage to that side. Can Death by the Hit recover and get a better shot? They're still definitely in this match, though.
Yeah, Death by the Hit really struggling to engage right now, but I wouldn't count them out. That weapon is incredibly powerful if it can get a bite. It's just, though, that wedge is just not doing them any favors to engage with Rampage.
Yeah, they're still looking for that decent bite. Ooh, there was
nice
a good little chip there. That's the first major hit of the match for them so far. And in the end, if they can land a few more shots like that, this judge's decision, if it goes to that point, could be a bit closer. But right now, we can see Rampage still being the main aggressor so far, trying to get them in that
over
pit.
by that pit. Both of these robots need to be careful right now.
Yeah, both robots are really looking for that angle, but in the end, both of them seem to be working very good with their drive and their weapon. These are two robots that seem to be operating at their full potential right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Death by the Hit can still be in this fight, and that's a nice push over by that pit. Rampage able to escape. Good driving there by both teams.
Yeah, Rampage really close up there. Death by the Hit, it seems like when they can get under them, they can get some, they have the drive advantage, and they're getting close. Ooh, good attack there by Death by the Hit. No, they're stuck
and Rampage is over the pit. This is Death by the Hit's opportunity right
now.
They
gotta get the ram, and they can't. A lack of awareness there, but in the end, there they go back in the corner and landing a few more shots.
Ooh, and a nice little chip off that wedge there again. That's really going to hurt Death by the Hit. And there's another nice pin on that wall. Rampage has been able to do that really well.
But back near that pit, Death by the Hit looking for that opening, but with only 8 seconds left in the match, it's going to go to a decision. But that is quite the fun fight between both these robots, really putting everything on the table.
And a nice little hit at the end.
Great shot there at the end. This was a really great performance for both of these robots. The third judge's decision of the episode. And that was, in the end, great performance for both of them. But Rampage seemed to be stronger throughout the fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both of these robots had their moments in this fight. I just think Rampage was slightly more consistent. Able to really get under, chewing up that wedge there might have been a big factor for them of keeping Death by the Hit from going under them. Just some good damage, good control. Death by the Hit had their moments over by the pit, and they had a perfect opportunity to go for the kill. and they just weren't able to put the bot where they wanted to put
They
it.
just couldn't. If they could have turned, they turned the wrong way. If they turned the other way, that's a push. That's likely a win. But in the end, this goes to a decision. Could be a tight one, but I think I'd have to give the edge to Rampage in this one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Rampage just, they had more damage, and they seem to be more in control of this fight. So I would expect it to be Rampage, and it is.
In the end, pretty good showing for both of these robots. Death by the hit, full credit to them. That was a great performance, and definitely the team did better than they did last year against Rampage. But in the end, Rampage is 2-0, and they're off to a great start this season. So going over the highlighted fight, it was against El Dominador and Mad Catter. It was a pretty even fight between them at the start. Mad Catter using its low front to get some good pushes and try to engage with that spinner. El Dominador managed to get a few good pushes themselves, but it ended pretty quickly when Mad Catter got them trapped in the screws, and in the end, they were flipped, and that was enough for the victory. Mad Catter recovering after their first loss, but enough for that cruddy highlighted fight. Let's get to the big boy showdown, starting off with Hive Smashin. Good lord, it killed Seizure.
I mean, we have a huge main event here. Hive Smashin and Hypershock, two of the most powerful bots. I mean, their opening round fights spoke for themselves, really. I mean, Hive Smashin, a huge, devastating spinner, a lot of kinetic energy in there, and they're hoping to take it to Hypershock tonight.
Yeah, Hypershock. Of course, that is a vicious four-wheel drive vert, but we're gonna have to see what Hive Smashin plans to counter them with. They have to manage to get around that front scoop. That front scoop is designed perfectly to fight a robot like Hive Smashin. Then get around, maybe try to do a bit of damage to the side of that spinner or the wheels. It could be trouble. But Hypershock, they are probably one of the most fearsome and hyped up robots in this tournament right now.
I mean, currently, I think that they're favorites to win the night. The whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked so good in their first fight. I mean, they really need to be careful in this fight against a huge weapon like Hive Smashin, but just with that front wedge, I see it being a good tight matchup for them.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. I think Hypershock will have an edge in the drive and the weapon, but in the end, this is a very, very tight matchup. This will be a real fun one. Hopefully we see some big hits in this main event.
And it's interesting to see Hive Smashin starting backwards.
That's an interesting concept. Looks like they're trying to go around and get a spin around.
Oh, and a nice little spin around hit. Good strategy by them so far.
And they're trying to get around. Oh, that wedge is gone.
And that is going to swing this fight.
That is a big early flinging panels around. Hypershock, just like that. They now have to come up with a new strategy. That wedge, we thought it would be a real deciding factor. Ooh, a big shot.
Big shot on the side. I mean, incredible strategy by Hive Smashin so far, leading with that back, swinging around, similar to what we see Tombstone do.
Yeah, that was a Tombstone-esque strategy, but right now it looks like Hypershock maybe having a few issues with that drive. It seems like they're only moving in some weird directions when they go forward. That might be bad for them.
Yeah, definitely. Hypershock seeming to have trouble moving forward. They seem to be moving in reverse fine, but that is going to be huge. But it seems like Hive Smashin's weapon might be down. Maybe they turned it off because they're over by that shelf.
But they
and
get
right
the
into the
push.
pit, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Hive Smashin takes down Hypershock. What a shocking performance from another
dominant fight.
What a performance there by Hive Smashin. Taking off the wedge set the tone for this fight. And from then, more big hits between these two.
I mean, yeah, just that strategy was incredible by Hive Smashin. Amazing driving. I mean, I thought Hypershock was one of the favorites to win it all, but Hive Smashin just looks amazing.
That was a perfect performance. Really well done, even with that drive, pushing them from one corner to the other. Hypershock, they were dazed and confused, and in the end, a textbook victory for one of the strongest bots this season. And that's the end of the episode. We had some really big moments. We saw Bung buzzkill. We saw Kraken lose.
We did see Kraken lose. We saw Rampage take it to death by the hit. And then in that main event, we just saw Hive Smashin absolutely take down Hypershock. What a dominant performance. And now, here's a look at the mid-season rankings.
Yeah, as we can see, halfway through the regular season, something I noticed, a lot of rookies at the top there. Loki taking that #1 spot, followed by Hive Smashin. But also we're seeing bots like Cyclone, Rampage, even Behemoth starting to have some pretty dang good seasons.
Yeah, really interesting to me to see Cyclone all the way at number 3. I mean, that's huge for them, especially since their struggles in recent years.
Yeah.
And those 2 rookies at the top, they've just looked unbeatable.
Definitely. But in this next episode, we will see if Quantum and Hypershock can recover. We will see the first of our midnight matches where 0-2 robots fight to stay in the competition. We'll see Electric Boogaloo at 2-0 fight Rusty. We'll see Tornado try to get their 3rd win. And we will see Topbot and
Warbird fight. Okay, that's the episode. They're gonna fight. We're gonna have more robots for you next week here on Robot Chaos. Thanks for watching.
Bye.